My name is Emily Hartman. I'm 32 years old. For as long as I can remember, my family's idea of love was control. Everything I did, every choice I made, every plan I formed, measured, judged, approved. My mother, Lillian Hartman, was a master of subtle manipulation. My father, Robert, always the silent enforcer, and my younger brother Jonah, the golden child, unburdened by rules I was expected to follow. Growing up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, our home looked perfect from the outside. Ivy-covered brick, a white picket fence, carefully trimmed gardens. But inside, the air was thick with expectation. One misstep, one failure, and the subtle knives would appear, marks meant to wound softly, to remind me I was never enough. At 18, I left for college, thinking distance would give me freedom. It didn't. They called every night. Why haven't you joined the family group chat? Did you remember to update the budget for your father's investment club? Jonah needs help with his scholarship application. By 22, I realized that independence was a myth in our family. I was always tethered to obligations disguised as responsibilities. I paid my own tuition, my own rent, my own groceries, but still, nothing I did was truly mine. Every effort was measured, every action assessed. I worked hard at a marketing firm in Boston. Creative, driven, independent. But my phone buzzed constantly with family reminders. Sometimes I ignored it. Sometimes I answered immediately. Never enough either way. Then came the week everything shifted. It was a Friday evening. I returned home from work exhausted, hoping for a quiet night. The moment I stepped inside, the tension hit me. My mother was in the living room, arms crossed, jaw tight. Jonah was sprawled on the couch, scrolling on his phone. "Emily," my mother said, voice calm but firm. "Sit down. We need to talk." I did. I already knew what was coming. "You've been distant," she started. "Not participating in family matters. Ignoring Jonah's needs. It's unacceptable, and frankly, disrespectful." I sat quietly, breathing slowly, keeping my expression neutral. "We've discussed this," she continued. "Your loyalty has limits. You can't keep everything for yourself. You need to understand your role." I finally spoke. My voice steady. "I've been doing my role for years. I've followed every expectation. I've paid for every expense. I've coordinated every plan. And yet, I'm accused of being distant when I take a step back." She tilted her head, eyes sharp. "You always make it about you, Emily. This family doesn't revolve around your schedule." Something inside me snapped, not with anger. Not with tears, but with clarity. The realization that I had been invisible, existing only when useful. That my family didn't want me, they wanted my labor, my compliance, my sacrifices. "I'm done," I said, softly. "You're what?" My mother's voice rose, but her eyes widened with disbelief. "I'm done being your organizer, your helper, your invisible backbone. This stops tonight." The room froze. Jonah looked up, confused. "Wait, what?" "I need my life back," I continued. "My energy, my time, my decisions. Not your expectations. Not your rules. Not your judgment." My father finally spoke. "You can't just walk away." "Yes, I can," I said. Calm, firm, determined. I grabbed my suitcase from my room, packed overnight essentials, and walked out. No yelling, no dramatic exit, just quiet, precise movement. I left a note on the kitchen counter. "I need my freedom. I'll check in when I'm ready. Please respect that." The city night embraced me as I walked to the train station. The cold air was sharp but liberating. For the first time in years, I wasn't tethered to anyone's expectations. I had no plan beyond getting out. No schedule beyond breathing. On the train, I looked at my reflection in the window. The woman staring back was tense, yes, but awake, alert, present, visible, real. That night, I found a small Airbnb downtown, booked for a week, quiet, safe, mine. The silence was deafening at first, but soon it became clarity. The distance from my family revealed everything I had been missing: autonomy, control, choice. I didn't call, I didn't answer texts. Every ping on my phone reminded me of the life I had been living, a borrowed life. I started to make lists: finances, overdue tasks I'd ignored, things my family assumed I would handle. I realized I had built their comfort at the cost of my own peace, and now, I had the opportunity to rebuild. Tomorrow, I would start reclaiming what was mine, not just possessions, but dignity, space, and decisions. Step by step, day by day. And this time, I would do it for me. The next morning, I woke up in the quiet of my Airbnb apartment. Sunlight filtered through the blinds, painting warm stripes across the floor. For the first time in years, I didn't hear my mother's voice in my head, or the subtle demands I'd internalized. Only the sound of my own breathing. I made a list. A real, actionable list. Not chores for someone else. Not obligations disguised as love, just steps to reclaim my life. Bank accounts, bills, passwords, apartment lease, legal documentation. Everything that had been manipulated, borrowed, or controlled over the years. I called my lawyer, Rachel Kim, first thing. Her sharp voice was reassuring. "Emily," she said, "this is more than family drama. This is financial abuse, coercion, and emotional manipulation. We can protect you, and we can establish clear boundaries legally." I listened, took notes, and asked questions. Everything I had endured, the unending control, the subtle punishments, the loans and account accesses my parents exploited, could be countered. Step by step, documented, and protected. I started with finances. Every account my family had access to was closed. Joint accounts eliminated. Credit alerts set. Alerts on loans, applications, and any unusual activity. My money, finally untouchable. My freedom, finally enforceable. Next, I tackled communication. Calls from my parents went straight to voicemail. Texts remained unanswered. Any attempts to manipulate, guilt, or threaten were documented and forwarded to Rachel. Legal letters followed. Firm, concise, boundaries enforced without hostility. I didn't inform Jonah at first. My brother, the golden child, had lived in the shadow of my compliance. But when he reached out, I explained calmly, "I am not against you. I am against the pattern of control that I have been forced into. I am reclaiming my life. You can choose to respect it." Weeks passed. Slowly, the quiet became normal. I worked longer hours at my marketing firm, focusing on projects that fulfilled me, not anyone else's expectations. Weekends were mine. Coffee at the local cafe. Walks along the Charles River. I rediscovered small joys I had traded for obligations. Then came the real test. A call from my mother. "Emily," she said softly, almost cautiously, "we need to talk. Family matters." I paused. I had rehearsed responses. Calm, firm. Boundaries intact. "I'm listening," I said. She explained, carefully, as if testing the waters. "We were worried. We thought you weren't capable of managing on your own. You've always been responsible." "Yes, but we feared." I held the line. No interruptions, no anger. Just observation. "I see," I replied finally. "Thank you for your concern. But I'm capable. I'm managing. And I will continue to manage my life without interference. I will not allow your fear to dictate my choices." Silence. Then, her voice softened. "We understand. We hope you are happy." "I am," I said. And I hung up. That was the moment it hit me fully. Freedom wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't even vindictive. Freedom was quiet, controlled, intentional, peaceful. Over the next months, I rebuilt. My apartment became a home I designed, not one I inherited from expectations. Walls painted my favorite color. Kitchen stocked with my favorite foods. Workspace arranged just for me. Every object, every space, a testament to my autonomy. I invested in myself. Courses, therapy, friendships that weren't tied to family obligation. Traveled to cities I had only dreamed of exploring. Small victories became the rhythm of my days. Paying bills on time without interference. Walking through the city without guilt, smiling without pretense. Occasionally, my mother or father would try subtle manipulation, a call disguised as checking in, a message implying concern. I documented it. I reinforced boundaries. Each attempt, a lesson in assertiveness. Each boundary, a step toward permanent independence. Jonah adjusted too. Not perfectly. Not immediately. But he began to see me differently, not as the compliant sister who managed the family for them, but as Emily, the woman with a voice, a life, and a choice. By the end of the year, I had achieved something I hadn't realized I was chasing. Not revenge. Not validation. Not approval, but sovereignty over my own life. I looked at my reflection one evening, seated in my living room with warm light spilling across my face. I saw tension, yes, but also strength. I saw autonomy, clarity, and determination. I had survived subtle wars waged by the people who should have protected me. I had survived without losing my peace. I thought of my mother, father, and brother. I didn't hate them. I forgave them quietly, not for them, but for myself. Forgiveness as a shield, not a surrender. Freedom, I realized, wasn't taking something from them. It was taking something for me, my life, my choices, my dignity, and I would never relinquish it again.